Got a little broken board here that wasn't properly supported underneath. I'm just going to replace it. So after removing those brackets that held up the closet rod, left me with a common problem of the paint not matching behind where the brackets were, and we don't have the paint to match. So my solution is to paint a wide stripe across the back of the closet that covers those marks up. Let me see if I have some tape to tape some guidelines, and then I'll paint a nice stripe. I think black is what we're going to do.
So we finished organizing this closet. This used to be our daughter's bedroom and a closet, and then it was a guest room, and then an office, all kinds of things. We now have an office in here, but we also keep our exercise equipment in here and various things like an old video camera, things like that. So we have a lot of crafty things, packaging things for our business. I don't know if you can see on the side. This particular bureau here is, sorry about the rickety camera folks, but this bureau here keeps our seasonal clothes in, and we really decided to keep that here. It not only looks much nicer instead of putting things in different totes like we did years ago, but also it keeps it very organized like a bureau, so, which it is. So it's easy to do that. I don't know if you can see in the corner, but we put all our rolls of wrapping paper in here on the side, so that helped. We also have space under the bureau, so even if there was something we could slide under there that was flat, we can do that. You just have to be creative with your space. We've mentioned many times before, we have a very small cottage, so you have to be creative. We have some equipment here, yoga mats and some free weights and some resistance bands, things like that. But what's going to happen is we're leaving this space, so not only can we pull this stuff out, you don't have to fill every space, but I am going to be getting some pedals, almost like bicycle pedals, instead of having a whole exercise bike like I used to have. And then also I might do a special scale or some kind of, equipment here. So they're small, but I'm not intending to fill that space. It's just something that if I need a little extra space, I can for just the exercise equipment. And then, we have totes. Now I would love to just match everything, but it's not in the, it gets expensive after a while. It's not really in the budget. Yes, you can go to the Dollar Tree and you can grab things. A lot of these through the years have been from other places, like different stores, a little more pricier, and I think even though they're mismatched, some of them are even just old Tupperware. But what's great about that is they're the sizes we need, and also they're a little tougher, so they're not necessarily, I like the idea of the Dollar Tree ones, but they're a little flimsy sometimes. So then we just have an area where there's just boxes inside of boxes, so if I need empty boxes for anything or packing materials, envelopes for packing, and then I even have some random equipment and some project-y things there. So, you know, then we have a wrapping area and an art area here where we paint, or we even have some knitting things here. If you ever just want to organize, it's not just about placing things and making it look neat. You really should have bins and labels and have specific purposes. Paul built these shelves last night, actually. He was just raring to go, and we just had, like we always do, we keep extra materials. We have some old masonite.
Melamine? I'm not sure. It's not masonite.
Okay, not masonite. Excuse me, I said it wrong. Melamine here, and then we had extra strips of wood, so we just put that on the edges because it was an unfinished look. And we had like this white wood and then plain wood that wasn't really stained or anything. We just kind of tried to make it match a little bit. And again, we had the white bureau. When we took down the pole for the closet where we hung clothes, and we took down a shelf that was above it, when we did that, it left marks in the closet. And if you remember, if you go back, oh gosh, maybe a little over a year ago, where we did a guest room in here at first. Actually, I think it might be a couple years ago. When we did that, we painted the inside of the closet with paint we actually mixed together, and we love the paint color, and I didn't feel like going through and doing the whole paint all over again and making it different than the rest of the room. And there's no way I was going to tackle the whole room right now. So what we did is what we did in my son's room many videos ago. Paul had painted a strip of black paint, so it looks like a cool stripe. It looks intentional, and then it covered the marks because he, you know, touched it up first before he painted it, and that made it look so much nicer, and it looks intentional. So that's it, folks. It's very simple organization here. You really can use just about anything. You could get fancy and spend a little more money and get matching baskets or totes, absolutely. And honestly, if I really thought it out and had more time and wanted to budget that in somehow, I could have done that. So it was a rainy couple of days, so we started outside, and this is what happened. We ended up in here. Sometimes our plans get thwarted, but it worked out really well because it's now organized.
So it's time to refresh this deck, give it a little sanding with some rough spots, and give it a clean up and a fresh stain. Some of the trim on this bench that I made is starting to bow and look a little unsightly. I built it out of pallets, the bench and the trim. So I think I'll have to either replace or repair some of that trim anyways, and a little fresh coat of paint on the front of the bench. Okay, so what we've decided is to remove the trim here that was made out of pallets, because it was all pieced together and was not looking great. It was warping with all the weather. I've got these pieces of trim I found in the workshop. It's like a plastic material, but I've used it for various things over the years. I've got some strips of this. We're going to paint these up and put them into place instead of these warped pieces of pallet. And I think that'll be a nice, more streamlined look. Okay, so we'd like to add this old planter to our deck, but we're thinking about sprucing it up a little bit. This is kind of a planter box. It was meant to last one season, but it still has some life left to it. What I'm going to do is replace these top pieces here, because they're kind of coming apart, with something that'll maybe fill in the gap a little bit more. I'm going to go see what I have for wood. Okay, so I found a couple of boards. They've got some paint on them. I'm going to give them a quick sand down and cut them to be the tops. Because these are starting to peel off and fall apart. I'm going to pull these off, sand these, cut them down, and I think we'll paint them black to match. And then make a nice little topper. We'll get some flowers planted in there. So the fascia of the deck also needs refreshing. The paint's starting to get a little peely there. Hey there.
So we're finished.
Yes.
And happy first day of summer,
Happy
everyone.
first day of summer. It's finally here.
Yes. I hope you can hear us well. We are outside. As you remember, we are on, if you've been here for a while, you remember we are on a very busy street. So we haven't sat in front of the camera for a while.
Right.
So we're just going to take a few seconds to just kind of let you know what's going on.
Yeah, it's been a crazy week. We started out outside. We had a whole plan, and then the storms came. It rained for days.
It was a deluge of rain.
Yeah.
It just poured and poured and poured. But then
change of plans.
Oh my gosh, and then it changed again. It got super hot.
Super hot and sunny.
We had 101 heat index,
Yeah.
and it was in the high 80s to low 90s, and then it rained in between. So we were all over the place this week.
Yeah. So yeah, when we started off outside doing the decks, when the rains came, we had to change plans, and we went inside. We had a little inspiration to do organizing.
Yeah, so it started out like a kind of a drab couple of areas, like the small deck near the back of our house, and we had a bigger deck, you know, further into our yard, and we just wanted to refresh with the stain and paint some spots. We had some molding, the trim work on this built-in benches that Paul made last year. They were great, but the molding,
they warped with the weather.
It just wasn't meant for outdoors, so we just had to fix it up, and now we have a more appropriate trim.
Yeah. Much better.
Yeah, and like we said, we restained and repainted, and we wanted to plant some flowers to pretty it up, to make it more fab.
Yeah.
So we started with our small deck, and then we decided to go inside because of the rain back and forth, trying to finish it. We're a day late because of going back and forth between the rain and the heat.
It was, a crazy weather week.
It was, but we love this.
We got a lot done.
I love the summer.
Yeah.
And we got a lot done.
We did. On those rainy days, we worked on the closet in the office.
Yeah.
And it really came out.
So we organized it basically. We are going to do more. That wasn't the plan this week, but we wanted to tackle that while we were inside with the rain, and we just wanted to show you how you can basically, you know, what am I trying to say? Organize everything with what you have. You don't have to run and get these fancy organized systems. These are things we had on hand, but we did it, we organized it well, and we're still going to do more in that room, but that's going to be later on. Right now, we're focusing on the outside for a while.
It's the season, you know, we got to be outdoors. So yeah, we made the good use of time inside during the rain, and we got to finish up in the heat outside.
Yes.
So
not too bad today, though.
Today, not so bad. Yesterday was pretty hot.
Yes.
So
So that was it this week. But it was a lot of kind of bringing that drab to that fab look. So we're excited. We're really, really excited about how it's all coming together. This is my favorite time of year. I'm definitely at my happiest. I definitely get that seasonal affective disorder, and you know, where you get a little sad. So this is kind of a great time. This is my favorite time of the year. I'm happier. I'm more alive. Paul and I both feel like this is the time to be outside. Not that we won't do anything indoors, but this is the time to be outdoors. So we hope you like those little touches, a little bit of a refresh.
Yes.
And we'll see you next week for more.
Absolutely. This being the longest day of the year, I think we'll spend the evening outside, make the most of it, maybe sit by the fire.
I am all for that.
Yeah, cocktail or two?
Sure, why not?
All right. Either way, we'll see you next week. Enjoy your summer.
See you, everyone.